So as you probably noticed when you looked at this sample that we looked at when we looked at just generally how to draw stuff on the screen the last time and the example of the draw line method, you probably noticed there are a bunch of other draw methods in my little sample application I have here. We can draw a number of shapes, rectangles, including squares, rectangles with rounded corners, ovals, and arcs. All can be drawn using the methods we've provided and available to us. Keep in mind this is only again a sample of some of the methods available to us. There are a lot more than this. The issue is that while Java provides us many methods, we just don't have the time to go through all of them. The graphics object isn't the only object available for drawing methods as well. We also have something called the graphics 2D object, or the graphics 2D class, which provides us with a number of methods that do a little bit better of a job drawing on the screen. Let's take a look at some of these methods. The first one is draw rectangle. We're going to find that all of these methods take a similar set of arguments. Some take more, some take less, but they all start with a similar core set when it comes to drawing to shapes. And what we're going to find is the first argument's usually going to be the x-axis. Where up and down the screen are we gonna start the top left corner of this shape? The second value, in this case, the 50, is going to be the y value. Where across the monitor are we going to put the top left corner of the shape? For the rectangle, the next two are the width and the height of the rectangle, starting from left and going over to the right, and starting from the top and going down to the bottom. In this case, we are going to place a rectangle at 120 by 50. So that means we're going to go down 120 pixels and over 50 pixels. And it's going to be 20 pixels wide and 50 pixels high, essentially giving us our quintessential rectangle. Now, of course, we can get a square out of this if we simply make the height and the width the same. The rounded rectangle takes a couple of additional arguments in addition to just the height and the width of the rectangle, as well as the x location and the y location. Again, you can see we're drawing this rounded rectangle at 20 pixels down from the top and 150 pixels over from the 150 pixels over from the left. The rectangle is going to be 100 pixels wide by 50 pixels high, and you'll see two additional values here. And those additional values are the width of the rounded corner, the horizontal diameter of the arc, and then the other one is the vertical diameter. So if we were to draw lines, as if these were circles, if we were to draw lines through the circles, what are those, how big is the diameter of that circle, and how wide is the diameter of that circle? Now remember, it's only going to be like a half circle, but still, what's the diameter is going to be? What I can tell you is this affects how curved the corners are, and you're just going to have to play with it to see what the curve looks like that you want. With the draw oval method, one of the things that we're going to find is the draw oval method looks a lot. The layout of the method looks a lot like we're drawing a rectangle. The draw oval method gives us a circular style object. It might look like an egg, it might look like a circle, but it's a rounded object. The arguments for that are x, the top left corner x, the top left corner y, the width and the height. When you think about that and you think about, well, that's a square, how does that fit with a circle? Here's how I tell people to think about it. Think about drawing a box. Then inside that box, draw a circle such that the center of each portion of the circle touches the center of each line of the box. So each side, the circle touches the center of each side of the box. Essentially, think of it as we're drawing a bounding box, we're drawing a circle, and then we're taking the box away. No one sees the box, but the circle is drawn to fit inside that box. And the arc is the same way. You'll see the last method call here is draw arc. And again, we provide a location, the starting point of the top left-hand corner, the X value and the Y value. In this case, we're coming down 100, going over 250. We're going to draw a box. That box is going to be 100 pixels wide by 100 pixels high. So we start with width, and then height. The last two arguments are, if we think about a circle and we think about where we want to start, when we think about our arc, think about an arc being a portion of a circle. What degree of the circle are we starting at? Now, I will warn you. Degree 0 of a circle is at the 3 o'clock position of the clock. So if you imagine an analog clock in front of you, just like we have on the wall in the classroom, you'll see that hash mark at 3 o'clock. That is 0. And so the first argument is going to specify where along that clock, where along that circle are we going to be. We're going to start at 3 o'clock and work counterclockwise. So where are we going to start along that circle? Where does our arc start along that circle? And we do that in degrees. And then the second argument is, where does it end? 0 to 350 degrees would start at the 3 o'clock position and go around the circle, up to 12, around to 9, down to 6, and almost back up to about 4 o'clock. So we would have traveled most of the way around the circle. We can go from 0 to 360 degrees. 360 degrees would give us a full circle. These are all of the draw methods. Now, all of these methods draw shapes, but the center of those shapes is clear. Essentially, we only get an outline. In the next portion of the lecture, once you work through the exercise and once you have an opportunity to go through the walkthrough video, in exercise, that's all exercise 4. In the next section, we're going to talk about shapes and colors, how to create your own colors, how to draw with colors, and some information about the predefined and pre-provided colors. After that, we'll get back into user interface design, talk about scroll bars, talk about the mouse events, and how to change the look and feel. Additionally, I've got a couple of dialog boxes that are pre-built to allow you to choose where to save a file. It's a pre-built file dialog box and a pre-built color selection box that you might want to know about to present to your users. And then we'll wrap up tonight with taking those menus that we built a couple of weeks ago and figuring out how to add icons to those menus. So you get menus like you see in professionally written programs like Word and even here in NetBeans. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you can move to the next slide and work on exercise 4.